Hello everybody, welcome to Now You're Cooking, and we're going to make Spanakopita tonight. Before we get there, I want to let you know that next week we'll be making a basic fish. We're going to be making marmalade from scratch, Sevilla or Valencia oranges, Sevilla oranges that we get from our British importer. So Mike is going to be doing that. Saturday though, this coming Saturday, 2 days from now, is spring into summer here in Bath. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on up and down the sidewalks. We are going to be over at the Customs House lawn with a tent and tons of awesome things for you to look at that will be on sale. That's going to be from 9 to 2, Customs House lawn in the tent. We open here technically in the store at 10, but we may open a little early on Saturday too. So come on in here. We're going to have some wine specials, some closeouts. So we'll have that going on as well. So let's hop right into the Spanakopita. This is a really simple recipe. There's not a ton of prep to do. Nothing gets cooked before it goes into the pan. So it's really, really simple, and I'm going to show you how to make the filling. And then I'm going to show you how to do the phyllo, which is really the more technical part of it. So I've got about a pound of spinach, and I want to make sure that I get as much of the liquid out as possible, because otherwise you're going to have a soggy Spanakopita. So I'm just going to squeeze this out with my hands. And I should be squeezing it into a different bowl so the stuff on the bottom doesn't continue to get wet. But it'll be okay. And there's that. We won't worry about those last few little bits of leaves. So spinach. I have about a cup of chopped parsley, fresh parsley, which is going in there. I have a large yellow onion. This is actually probably a little more than one onion. I had 2 medium size. And again, this is just going in raw. It's going to cook while it's in the oven. So that goes in. I have 2 cloves of garlic in my favorite garlic twist. Garlic goes in, squish it, turn it, and you get beautifully minced garlic that comes out with a spoon or a fork. You can get in between the little teeth there. Scoop the garlic out. I should be talking slowly because this is going to go so quickly that we'll be over before we know it. The recipe is going to be linked to the video once we get it posted, but it is also on our website already. And so you can check it out there. We'll also be putting this on our YouTube channel as always. So there's my garlic. I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of olive oil. You can tell I'm being very careful. The nice thing about this recipe is you can add more spinach, less spinach, extra feta cheese if you want. You could use a different kind of cheese. If you are vegan or vegetarian, you could use a vegan cheese or just leave the cheese out entirely. And wherever it calls for butter, you can just use olive oil like for brushing the phyllo. So this is a really great recipe for people of any persuasion as far as the ingredients go. So here's some egg and my feta cheese. It calls for 12 ounces. This is a little more, but I think we'll just put it all in because what else am I going to do with it, right? So we'll put that in. I have a tablespoon of dried dill weed. This is also a great recipe. You can make this basically the same thing. Instead of the spinach, you can use zucchini or summer squash, and that is also delicious if you're not a big fan of spinach. And then we have a cup of ricotta. Again, I'm going to put in all of this. So probably, well, it's actually probably not that much over a cup. Ricotta goes in, couple of teaspoons of salt. And Bob's your uncle. And then I'm just going to stir this all up. And that is all of the work I have to do as far as the filling goes. I am going to show you a couple things though with the phyllo. We're going to do this in a casserole dish, but I'm also going to show you how to make triangles. I made some earlier. You can see they're nice lunch size little packets of deliciousness. You can also make them a little smaller if you want to make them for appetizers. And while you're over here, Mike's behind the camera tonight, we have a couple of really nice wines, and a Certico, which is minerally and light and minerally, really nice white wine. And then the Hoofenloor, which is an unfiltered orange wine. If you have not tried an orange wine, this is the one to start with. Really, really delicious. Gets its color from sitting on the skins a little bit. And it's really delicious, and either one of those would be great with this dish tonight. So I'm just going to finish mixing this all up nicely. So the ricotta cheese you can leave out if you want to. It just adds a nice creaminess. If you have cottage cheese, you can put that in instead of the ricotta. It's a really easy recipe to make any kind of substitutions that you want really in there. So that's it. That's all we're going to do with this. And then we will get to the phyllo, which is the fun part. And so when you buy the phyllo in the store, you can make your own if you want to. I never have. I don't have the patience, I don't think, to roll it out so thin. But if you buy it in the store, this recipe is going to take almost one whole roll of these. And then what's left, we're going to make some triangles out of. So this is really paper thin, like thinner than paper, really. I don't know if you can see that if you've never used it before. It rips really easily. Don't worry about it. It's all going to work just fine whether it's ripped or whole, because it's going to be layered, so there's going to be plenty of it to hold it all together. I'm just going to get this out of my way a little bit. And then, so here I have some melted butter. I use salted butter, and this is mixed with some olive oil. Just because I like the flavor of it that way. You can use just butter, you can use just olive oil, or you can use a mix. You could use any kind of oil really that you like, avocado or whatever. The olive oil gives it a nice flavor though. So you can see it's ripping, and I am not at all stressed about that because it's going to be just fine. And it's pretty inevitable that there are going to be some rips in it, unless you're super, super careful, and I'm much more likely to want to speed through it. So I'm going to do this with about probably 8 or 9 pieces. So this is 3. And this is a little messy, so that's why I'm doing it on my Leque silicone rolling mat or baking mat, because this is going to be so easy to clean. Just throw it right into a hot soapy dishpan or into the dishwasher if you want to. The dishwasher will get it really nice and clean, and it'll get all the grease off. So I think that's 4. And this does not have to be painted on perfectly. You're not painting your dining room. You just want to get the butter and oil in between each sheet, because that's what makes it nice and crispy and buttery and delicious and fattening and wonderful. And I'm not going to worry too much about how many sheets I'm using, but I just want to use, like I said, somewhere around 8 or 9, 7, 8, 9. I think that's 6. I'm sure somebody out there is counting for me. So this is also the same process if you want to make baklava, which is a dessert, which probably most of you know. It's got like honey and nuts and yummy warm spices in it. And this is basically the same thing. So whenever you're doing phyllo, you want to layer it with the butter or oil. And I'm going to put one more on for good measure. The nice thing about this dish, whether you're doing the triangles or the casserole, is that you can freeze it. You can freeze it before you bake it and just pull it out. I'm actually going to put this in the fridge overnight, which I don't recommend because the bottom's probably going to get fairly soggy by the time I bake it tomorrow. But we'll take some pictures tomorrow when it comes out of the oven and you can see how it looks. But for now, So this is my first section. Actually, I want to butter my dish. This is a 9 by 13 or thereabouts. If you use a bigger one, you'll just have, it'll be a little thinner. If you use a smaller one, it'll be a little thicker. And I'm just going to lay that like so. And I'm going to take my filling and plop it in. And because the pastry didn't go all the way to the sides here, I am going to leave the filling just on the inside of that so that my top layer can fold right down and cover that up. Not that it really matters that much, to be honest with you. And I'm putting all of this in here because I have a little bit of filling I made earlier to do the triangles with. So this amount is great for one casserole. And we're just going to spread that over there. Make sure that's pretty even. So that's going to sit there, and we are going to repeat the phyllo. So I'm just going to do this again. So if you missed the first time or you want to see how it's done again, we'll do this, whoops, relatively quickly here. So buttering or oiling. It's most likely that your bottom sheet is the one that's going to rip, because once you get a couple of them stuck together, they'll stay a little better. And this is going to go in the oven at 325 for about an hour, but it really depends on your oven, so I would check it after about 45 minutes just to make sure that it's not getting too brown. The triangles that I did earlier were about 45 minutes. But our oven tends to run really hot, so your oven may not. So, and then when it comes out, all of those raw onions in there, the garlic, everything is going to be cooked through, and it's going to be soft and tender and delicious with the feta. This is a nice, pretty easy and quick dinner that you could throw together on a weeknight for family, or if you have guests that you weren't expecting. Unless they've made this before, they'll be extremely impressed that you just threw it together. It's one of the things I think when I first started cooking, I was a little afraid of, because I'd never done phyllo before. And then once I did it, I was like, this is like the easiest thing and so delicious. You could even put some crushed nuts or sesame seeds in between if you wanted to add a little bit more flavor. Let me just do one more for the top, I think, and then I'll show you how to do the triangles. All right, so this is going to go on top here, and I'm just going to fold the sides over just a little bit so there'll be some nice crunchiness on the ends. And then fold that down, poke that down. And so this is all ready to go. You can sprinkle it with a little bit of paprika if you want to, or a little dill on the top. Let's put a little dill on just for the fun of it. We'll just sprinkle that on there. And that is all ready to go in the oven, 12 minutes or so of cooking there. And then it goes in for, like I said, 45 minutes to an hour or so. And that is your Spanakopita. And then you just cut it in pieces and serve it with whatever you want to serve it with, something yummy. So let's do some triangles. For the triangles, I'm going to use 3 sheets, and same oiling in between. One. And the reason I'm doing fewer is that it's going to be folded a lot, so it's going to end up being about 9 sheets or so in the crust because of the way it's folded, which I'll show you. It's just going to fold up like a flag. And you do want to do the top one, even though that's on the inside. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slice this right in half down the middle. These are going to give you the ones I have here, which are what, maybe 6 inches across the long side, and then 3 by 3 or whatever. Perfect little lunch. You could eat 2 of them if you're really hungry, but 1 is a good size as well. And I am just going to scoop. This is probably about 2 tablespoons of filling, and I'm just putting that right on the end here. And I'll do this slowly so you can watch. I'm going to take the bottom corner and fold it up so I have a triangle. And we're not going to worry about this oozing out here because it's going to get folded up. So like with a flag, I've got the triangle folded up, fold it over, fold it up, and fold it over. And you've got your triangle. We'll butter the top. And that's going to go right on a pan to go in the oven. So we'll do another one. So filling in the middle, take your bottom corner and fold it over, and then up and over and up and over, and you have a phyllo triangle. I'm going to do this again and we'll see how to do the smaller ones. A little bit more phyllo here. So we'll do sheet. And if you have leftover butter or butter and oil, you can always just use it for cooking whatever you need, you know, for brush your grilled cheese sandwiches with it, or use it to fry an egg or whatever. Okay, we'll do the top sheet. And the triangles do cook just about the same amount of time as the whole casserole. And then the other thing too is that if you put these into the freezer when they are, before you bake them, just freeze them on a sheet pan, and when they're totally frozen, then you can put them into a Ziploc bag or something like that. Just pull them out and bake them as you want them. Or if you're, you know, doing these for an appetizer, you can make a few at a time and freeze them until the day that you need them, but that you don't have to do it as a huge project. You can do it as a few smaller projects. So that's about half the amount of filling that I put into the big ones. And it's same thing. Bottom corner over, fold, 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 fold. And I'll do that again a little bit more slowly. So, and again, those are probably about half the size, even though it's, oops, this one's a little messy, but it's okay because it's all going to get folded up. There we go. You could make a little meat filling for these, like, you know, ground turkey or ground lamb would be awesome. You kind of make any kind of filling you want to make these little guys. Brush the top, and it's good to go. So that is Spanakopita. If you have any questions, feel free to call us or email us, or send us a message on Facebook. We've got our triangles, we have our casserole, we've got our really yummy wines, the Assertico or the Hoofenloor with a little parsley on the label.
Moshafilero.
Excuse me?
Moshafilero.
Moshafilero. Moshafilero is the grape. Moshafilero is the grape. But it's all Greek to me. You were waiting for me to say that. And yeah, so Spanakopita, make it, tell us how it goes. It's really yummy. It's pretty healthy, except for all the butter. But there's spinach in it, which is good. Saturday, don't forget, is Spring into Summer here in Bath. Saturday, May 21st, we'll be at the